This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys get the win. I don't know, Jack. It's a big decision.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying space.
Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
Thank you. I thought I was right. So anyway,
Yeah, Mac, you're really interested in these playoffs.
so
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show on Northeast Streaming Sports.
happy Monday out there to everyone out there on the sports internet as we're ready to get going on this show. I know Jack's ready. I'm ready. I hope you all are ready for the first look at the sports news on Roku channel, Northeast Streaming Sports. I'm your host, Mac, with your co-host, Jack Hirsch. And we'll be talking a little boxing at the end of the show. Don't you worry out there, boxing fans. Jack will give you the full information that he has no idea what I'm going to ask about because that's the way we do it here. Good morning, Jack. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Mac. How have you been?
I'm doing great. Me and Jack were having an interesting discussions off the camera how different organizations fight you.
Well, I don't want to. That was off the air, Mac. I don't want to get on
it. I'm just talking on the abstract here. How certain organizations fight you tooth and nail when you try to make something better. And that's just, it's a terrible, hard thing to swallow sometimes. But hey, listen, life goes on. And I'm here with my favorite co-host in the world, Jack Hirsch. And we're going to start with the NBA today, Jack. We'll get to football and maybe some hockey even a little bit later. And as I said before, boxing. So Kevin Durant believes he's the GOAT, Jack, the greatest of all time. And of course, we know that's not true. Well, he was speaking, I guess, comparing himself to maybe today's players. I'm not sure.
Did he say that, Mac?
Yes, and Carmelo Anthony said he believes he's the best pure shooter of all time. Now, we always get in these discussions of all time. All time, you cannot. The game has changed in every sport. There's the different amount of competition. It's a little bit more watered down today, I'd say, Jack. Right back in the day, you had fewer teams, so the athletes were to me a little bit better than today. Would you agree with that?
Oh, well, the athletes today are a little better. Yeah, I mean, technology, this and that. We were even discussing it yesterday, and I was trying to make my point in football. And you and Jim Jeffcoat were like holding out from the guys in the past. And what I was trying to explain, for example, I don't mean to detour to football, but I will for a little bit because we were discussing it yesterday. If there was an all-time NFL draft held today and every player in the history of the game was 22 years old, who would you take? Oh, let me detour to baseball. As great as Babe Ruth was, as great as he was, and you had a choice for one season to take him or Aaron Judge, I would take Aaron Judge, absolutely, because he's a modern athlete. You know he can go after fly balls a lot better. But if you want to go in the past, I would take a Ken Griffey Jr. over some of the legendary over Ty Cobb. It wouldn't even be close because of the athleticism. Even though Ken Griffey Jr. is from a couple of decades ago, but that's the point I'm trying to make. And
So
the
would you
athletic,
take, wait, Jack, would you take Ken Griffey Jr. over Willie Mays?
Willie Mays is a modern out. Everything he did was modern. He would make the adjustments. He
Okay.
was an exceptional athlete.
Over,
Mickey
over.
Mantle,
I was just going to say.
He was an exceptional
I was going to
athlete.
say
Yeah,
DiMaggio.
I didn't really see DiMaggio play there in his prime, but for example, what made Willie Mays famous? I'm reading an old time book on Willie Mays, ironically by a writer with my last name, James Hirsch, no relation. I just happened to get hold of an old book. 1954, the over-the-shoulder catch in the World Series made by Willie Mays. That set his legend in motion. When we think of Willie Mays, we think of that sensational catch.
Yes.
But in this day and age, Mac, you could see catches like that in a regular season game, not routinely, but every once in a while. But when Willie Mays made it, it was unheard of. No one ever saw anything like that before. But in this modern era, we're seeing more that even receivers, football is your first love, Mac, wide receivers, the great wide receivers of the past, they never made those sideline catches, keeping their feet in bounds, stretching out.
Lynn Swan made a catch. Lynn Swan made a catch out of bounds and put his feet in bounds before he went out of bounds, before the play was over. And I get what you're saying, Jack. The only thing I'm saying is that I think that we take today's athlete and yeah, the training is better if they're not lifting weights too much, and maybe the technology is better. But if you go back in the past, you'll see that some of these athletes, as we discussed, and me and Jim were talking to you about the NFL, at position, Patrick Mahomes might be the best at all time. But if you're going to talk about the most player with the most impact, who had more impact than Lawrence Taylor with the Giants in his prime? I don't know if Mahomes and him are that much different at their position. And that's all we were saying. We weren't saying that, that Taylor is necessarily better than Mahomes. We're saying that at that position, there was nobody better than Lawrence Taylor. And at Mahomes' position, I could say that maybe he's the best of all time. It's so hard with the errors. It's so hard with the rules. It's so hard, the way they protect the quarterback and receivers today. That's why we try to say in this era, Patrick Mahomes is the best.
Right. I mean, all you can do is compare what someone was in that era.
Right.
For example, Tom Brady's more accomplished than Patrick Mahomes, even if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl. But it doesn't mean if they were both 22 years old and you're starting a team and you can have just one for their career, it doesn't mean that you don't pick Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you pick Dan Marino just because he didn't win a Super Bowl. I could argue he's a better pure passer than anyone who ever played the game. I could maybe argue that point.
You could.
But certain athletes like a Jim Brown, a Michael Jordan, or Willie Mays, they're ahead of their time. Yeah. They're the athlete from 30, 40 years in the future. And that's what put them, head and shoulders in a certain way above just about everybody else when they play.
Never mind Deebo Samuels. Can you imagine today's athlete trying to take down Earl Campbell? The guy was just a truck. I mean, it's almost impossible to take that guy down. And not that Deebo Samuels may be a better athlete than Earl Campbell, but I don't know if he's harder to take down than Earl Campbell was. And that's again, back to the era, Campbell, Zonka, whatever. So let's get back to what we were talking about. Now, again, Carmelo Anthony says that Durant is the best pure shooter of all time. He played on a team with maybe the best pure shooter of all time, Steph Curry. So, you know what I mean? So I don't know what Carmelo Anthony's talking about. Maybe they're good friends. I don't know. I'm even Harden in his prime. Was there a better pure shooter than him? I don't know.
I'm going to say with Carmelo Anthony, I could sense a little bit bitterness with Carmelo Anthony. He didn't really win in the NBA. It's not that he wasn't a winner. he won an NCAA tournament at Syracuse. So it shows he's a winner. He was on 3 gold medal winning United States Olympic teams, but those teams, let's face it, were better than the opposition they were playing.
Yes.
So, but the NCAA tournament win with Syracuse is impressive, and kudos to Carmelo Anthony. He never got to an NBA Finals as a player. And, you know, and he did have some talent at times around, and the blame isn't on him. But he said, well, had the Pistons drafted me, because he was the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and LeBron James are number 1 that year. Pistons picked 2nd. They didn't take Carmelo Anthony. Denver wound up taking him at 3rd. He says, well, if the Pistons took me, they would have won a couple of more championships. You know, I don't see any basis for that, based on how his whole NBA career went.
Yeah.
You could sense a certain bitterness with some players that they didn't get the ring, and they're not really taking accountability. Well, maybe had I done a little better. Carmelo Anthony at Denver, when he played for George Karl, would at times be reportedly feuding with George Karl, and George Karl's beef with Carmelo Anthony, he didn't really play defense the way he should have. He didn't play hard on the defensive end.
Yes.
He was a bit of a prima donna, and he forced his way out of Denver. He came to the Knicks. Initially, they had success. Amari Stoudemire had gotten, hurt, and it didn't quite, work out. The Knicks made a little bit of a run and then fell flat and then went backwards. They never quite won. And then he kicked around the league a little bit from Houston, and then eventually he wound up on Portland. I think he was maybe at OKC a little bit. But teams didn't want him, a talent like that, towards the end of his career, even though he still had something left in the tank. That tells you something. When you have a semi-iconic player who still has something left in the tank and teams don't want him, that goes to maybe some type of an attitude or the way he plays the game. And not that he's a bad guy. I mean,
Yeah, well, Keith Angle, I think, had the best line about him. You gave Carmelo Anthony the ball, you never saw it again until the other team got it. That's the way Carl Anthony played.
And Reggie Miller, great pure shooter. We never knocked Reggie Miller as far as being a team player went. You never heard, well, Reggie's just for Reggie.
Yeah, some of the plays he made were unbelievable, too. Steph Curry becomes the 3rd player in 2 weeks to score 60 points and lose. Now, I don't know if this is new or not. I can remember when Jordan went up against the Celtics and they let him score, 60-something points, 70 points, and the Celtics still won.
Well, they didn't let him. Celtics didn't stop him in that playoff game for anything. They tried everything.
All right, I will agree with you there. But Jack, there's the old school of thought. Let the all-star, let the all-pro, let him shoot, get his points, defend the other people around him because he can't beat you by himself. And normally that works. Sometimes it don't, but normally it does. It just goes to show me that defense today, especially perimeter defense, is lacking. And there's not a lot of challenges like there was before on every shot. The defense way back when was that's how they, like the Knicks play today. It was defense converts the offense, and that's how most teams played. So today it's more, I'm going to shoot the ball, I'm going to shoot the lights out. Brunson has a habit of taking over the game and going one-on-one. Keith goes a little crazy about that. But he comes up and he does win. He does help the team win, as does Steph Curry. So, Jack, what do you think? Do you think the defense is just a lot worse today than it was back then?
The whole game is worse. I hate to say it, because what we were talking about before, they're more athletic, okay? They're more talented today than in the past. So there's not that type of teamwork. It's up and down the court, shoot. They don't really execute. As far as one individual player trying to take over and score a lot, it depends on the situation. I remember once Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain being interviewed together, their style of play. And Bill Russell always tried to bring out the best in the guys around him. And Bill Russell couldn't do the things that Will Chamberlain did. He couldn't score like Will Chamberlain, even if he tried and he forgot about everyone else. He just couldn't. He realized that. He brought out the best in his team. And Bill Russell said, I was doing what I thought would help my team. And Will trying to take over by himself thought that was best for his team. Like, get out of the way, give me the ball, and I'm going to do so and so. So Wilt had, better stats as a result. But earlier this year, Karl Anthony Towns scored 62 points. The Timberwolves lose. There is something very wrong there. When one of your star players scores 62 points and your team loses. I mean, a lone exception to that could be if you have a very weak team and you have one great star player on the team. I can understand he tries to do everything to keep his team in the game. He's not being selfish then, or I should say, once in a while, it's okay to be selfish, because if you're trying to get everyone involved, it's not going to be as good as you taking over yourself. But team basketball, it seems like a thing of the past. Maybe we'll get back to it, at some point in the future.
Maybe the WNBA. Well, let's do the girls' college first. You see them. You got Clark Catlin or whatever. They do that a lot. They will take the game and take it over, and normally they win the game. Where in the NBA they're having a problem with that. The WNBA, Jack, the players are not pushing for the same pay as the NBA players. They're pushing for revenue sharing. So this is like a backhanded way to get more money, right? Instead of going there and saying, we want a raise, they're saying, let's do what the NBA players do. Let's get some revenue sharing here. Same thing, different way of going about it.
This is professional sports. It's not a charity type situation. It's supply and demand. Their television ratings. If the women ratings are as high as the men, they deserve the same amount of money. If their ratings are higher, they deserve more money than the men. It's supply and demand. I'd always make an argument for the women's national soccer team before they were controversially involved in politics and all. They were more popular than the men's national team. I would tell myself they deserve to get more money than the men. Women's figure skating was more popular than the men's at certain points, and I thought the women deserved more money than the men. I don't think the men should get parity in these instances. But to compare the WNBA with the NBA and think that the women players should get anywhere near the amount of money, there's nowhere near the amount of popularity. I mean, how many people watch in comparison to the men? It's just one of those things. I mean, if we could make every athlete young again, and Serena Williams is playing Martina Navratilova, that they deserve to get just as much, if not more, than the biggest men matchup. You could have Djokovic against Pete Sampras. I mean, I would want parity for Serena Williams and Martina. Actually, I'd be more interested in Serena playing Martina. So I would actually, if they were given a little bit more money, I'd be great with that. It's supply and demand, Mac.
I agree. I agree with that, Jack. I mean, the women's basketball league is getting more popular. I mean, you see the more fans, you see men going to the games, NBA stars going to the games. So it is getting more popular than it was before, and they do play team basketball for the most part.
Yeah.
So it is a better team game than the men. So let's turn a little bit to the NFL issues. Commissioner Goodell needs to address the offseason. Questionable calls and non-calls by the officiating. We all know it's been terrible, especially near the end of how they changed their officiating from the beginning to the end of the game, how they change it in the playoffs versus the regular season. I mean, this has all got to be discussed and worked out. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe, again, we talked about professional referees. They all got to get on the same page. Maybe they all need to go to the same training. I don't know the answer, Jack, but I know that something's got to be changed, or we're going to keep hearing about the officiating.
We've heard about it more this year than ever before. Maybe the rules need to be changed. Certain plays that are considered holding, are they really affecting the play? You take the cornerback position, for example. The cornerback is at such a disadvantage guarding a receiver. If for one quick second he puts his hand on him, should there necessarily be a call? The question is, did it affect the play at all? And a lot of times we see something happen at the other end of the field, away from the ball, and a penalty is called and it comes back. I think there's always going to be controversy. You get it in basketball this year as well. Baseball, now it's all basically come down to only balls and strikes. What are we going to do? Have a robot umpire? It used to be fun, Mac, in baseball. You'd see the manager really going at it with the umpire. You don't see it as much, or you'd see the controversy. The fans would be yelling this and that. But now with replays, it kind of takes the fun out of arguing.
Sure. And this always brings back the point. I don't think it'll ever go back to just making it human again, making it part of the conversation. Let the refs call the game. Let the umps call the game. Forget about replay, but I think we've gone way too far to go back, with the technology today.
I think the concept of the timeouts is a very good one. I would like to see them combine the timeouts in the first half and the second half for the whole game. The 3 timeouts in the first half plus the 3 in the second half. Each team gets 6 timeouts a game. So you're going to see coaches save their timeouts for the second half in most cases, and they can question any penalty call. And if the coach is right, they don't lose a timeout. If they're wrong, they lose a timeout.
You start doing that, it's going to slow the game way down again, and it's slow enough already. If you're going to question every penalty or what you think is a penalty is not a penalty, and then it comes again: is there enough? Is there enough? Evidence on the field that that gets crazy.
Matt, it shouldn't take long. You look at the replay and review it. After the coach throws a red flag, if you can't make up your mind in about a minute or so from 3 different angles, if you're still not sure, then the play stands.
I agree with you. I'm not fighting you there. I'm just saying I don't think that will happen. I think they're pretty much.
Well, yeah, if something happens in the Super Bowl, if there's a controversial call that costs one of the teams the game, then I think we're going to have a serious rule change.
You might be right. Let's see. Also, the artificial turf versus the grass. That's always been. There was a running back on there that says you get tackled off 33 times off that turf, and you tell me there's no difference between artificial turf and the grass. It's like hitting cement. I've played on it before. It's when you get hit, you feel it more than you do on grass. There's no doubt about it. Only problem Eli Manning brings up is the mud. If it rains, artificial turf doesn't get muddy. It does in a regular turf, but I think that's a non-issue. I think they got to all go to grass, Jack. Let's see. Longer games equals more Taylor Swift. Jack approves. Joey Corpus says. So.
Yeah, I like more Taylor Swift. It's good. We'll see in the Super Bowl. Congratulations. So she set a record. What was it, a 4th Grammy? I don't really watch the Grammys. I read about it, but it seemed like she was really ecstatic about it, and kudos to her.
Beyonce's boyfriend or husband was upset, but what are you going to do?
Well, who was upset, man?
They were upset that she got like album of the year and or something, and Beyonce didn't. I don't know. There was a whole thing going on there. Jay-Z actually called them out. He got a Grammy. He called out the Grammy.
Who did he call out, Jay? Who did he call out?
The people that vote on the Grammys. He called them out.
Well, I can't give an opinion. I will say this, though, from my uneducated eye as far as the Grammys go. Taylor Swift did get a bump unintentionally by attending all the NFL games. Taylor Swift right now, I can argue, is the face of the NFL. Temporarily. Listen, she's done nothing wrong. She's just going to the games to support Travis.
Yeah.
She has no other motive but to support him. She can't help it, the big deal people make out of it. She can't hide. What's she supposed to do? Hide in the room and watch off the TV monitor, not go to the games?
She could.
I know you're tired of a Mac. You've had enough of a. I mean,
listen, Jack, I'm there to watch football. I'm not there to watch Taylor Swift, but I agree. It's not her fault. That's the NFL's fault for showing her all the time.
well, no, but why not show her they're having a good time? Don't you want to see the Chief box the suite? We see Jerry Jones in a suite over there. I enjoy seeing a quick look.
I don't
at the
disagree.
suite.
I don't
We
disagree
should
with
see
that
more
either.
suites.
I don't disagree with that either. I'm just saying I watch football for football, not for all the rest of the drama going. I don't really care about watching Jerry Jones or Robert Kraft either. I don't care. The Giants owners, I don't care about. I want to watch the football game. That's all.
Okay, well, let me say this. Let's say Travis Kelce attends a Taylor Swift concert.
Right.
And the cameras every once in a while go on Travis Kelce enjoying the concert, singing, clapping, dancing, having a good time.
Yeah.
Very quickly, how would you feel the Swifties start complaining? We don't want to see Travis on there. We have to see Taylor in the thing.
I don't even know a Swiftie, and I really don't care what they think. I did, whatever they want to do. Hey, I'm nothing against them. If they want to like Travis Kelce, if they want to support, hey, I'm all for it. I'm freedom for everybody is the way I look at it. So let's get back to sports. Enough about Taylor Swift. Kansas City running back Jerick McKinnon designated to return off the injured reserve in time for the Super Bowl. If you remember, McKinnon had a big Super Bowl, number 31. I remember his number. He had a big Super Bowl. In fact, I think he went for over 100 yards during the Super Bowl one year. Now you got him, and you got Pacheco that will be going in and out. It'll give Pacheco rest. You still got a good quality running back, Jack.
Well, I kind of also wonder as far as being activated. We haven't heard anything with Kadarius Toney.
Yes,
and what was Kadarius Toney last year had one of the big plays in the Super Bowl game against the Eagles, not as a wide receiver, but as a punt returner. He returned had a long punt return, which played a role in the Chiefs winning the game.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's what they want him back for again this year, thinking maybe he can break a big play. I'm not sure what it does for team chemistry. And the reason I say I'm not sure, I don't know what Kadarius Toney's relationship is with his teammates. If he has a great relationship with his teammates and they feel he's paid his dues throughout the year, even though he's been basically inactive the last couple of games, maybe there's no resentment in him coming back.
Maybe.
But if they bring him back and one other player is deactivated to make room for Kadarius Toney,
right.
You wonder, will there be a few little rumblings? A few of the players will say, this is messed up. So-and-so should be.
I'll be honest with you, Jack.
Game and not Kadarius.
I'll be honest with you. If I was a player, I'd be ticked. The guy has been nothing. Has not helped the team at all. He hasn't caught the balls. He's out for personal reasons. I would be upset. I would really be upset. You know what would be great? Would be karma is Travis Toney fumbles the ball and the 49ers recover the ball and going for a touchdown. That would be instant karma. I would love
Kadarius Toney, you mean?
Yes. If he would fumble the punt return and San Francisco winning for a touchdown, that would be instant karma.
But you have another wide receiver like McCole Hardman. Okay. Mm-hmm. He left the Chiefs at the end of the year. They traded him to the Jets. And he was a free agent for some reason, I forget. And it didn't work out with the Jets. He went from a Super Bowl win on the Chiefs to where he didn't even get playing time on a bad Jet team. And then the Chiefs take him back.
Yeah.
They take him back.
Yeah.
And then he plays against Buffalo. He fumbles twice. And one of them was one of the fumbles the Chiefs recovered themselves. But the other fumble could have easily cost the Chiefs the game in the fourth quarter in a very big spot.
Yeah.
Do they have faith in, using and seriously using them?
I don't know, Jack. I guess they're going to have Toney returning punts, and I guess Harding goes back to the receiving core. I don't know. He was a pretty good wide receiver. He was a pretty good wide receiver. He really was. With the Jets,
early on in his career.
Yeah, with the Jets, he had Zach Wilson throwing. Yeah, Zach Wilson throwing to him, Jack. I don't know. That could be part of
Wilson. Where do you think Zach Wilson's winding up?
I don't know, Jack. To be honest with you, does he go stay with the Jets? I don't know. There's
No,
too
no way, no
much-
way. You know, the
too much hate
report,
there. Go ahead.
there have been reports in the that have come out, Matt, which I believe. You have to know which reports to believe, which you shouldn't believe. All those rumors about Zach Wilson not wanting to come back in the lineup after they deactivated him and wanted to bring him back apparently are true. And reports are surfacing that Zach Wilson wanted to have a very close relationship with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wasn't always available after he got hurt. I would say to Zach Wilson, grow up, man. Grow up. You don't have to have that close a relationship with Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is rehabbing in California and he's not speaking to you, you huddle with the coaches. Focus on what you have to do. Even though Aaron might be your friend professionally, I don't want to say he's your enemy because he's your teammate and he wants what's good for you. But Aaron Rodgers is holding on to your job. Okay,
Right.
The backup doesn't get to play if the starter's playing well. That's just the way it is. And when Zach Wilson was to start again because Aaron Rodgers was hurt, embrace the opportunity. Don't feel you need anything from Aaron Rodgers. Don't be upset because Robert Saleh's constantly praising Aaron Rodgers while Aaron Rodgers is out injured. And Zach Wilson can't come back to the Jets. No way they can run it back. No way. They've got to change the culture. Some team is going to want Zach Wilson, is going to feel that there's something there, and they could get him like as a steal. They're going to try to get him like on a fifth-round draft choice, a sixth-round draft choice, and he would be worth it. Absolutely worth a chance to do that. Look, the Cowboys traded to get Trey Lance. They gave a fourth-round draft pick, and that's about what would be the going rate for Zach Wilson, a fourth-round draft pick, where the Jets can draft someone who's going to make their team and help them. And Zach Wilson could be an experiment. He could be a backup and potentially, if he develops, could start.
I don't know, Jack. I don't know if his confidence is shot now after all that stuff he went through. Because you got to remember, that was not physical for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson could throw the ball. It was all mental. And, I don't know. Sometimes that ruins a player for the career. I mean, who's to say he even quarterbacks again next year if a team is willing or not to take a chance on him? I would imagine physically he can do the job and somebody will try. I think he needs to go somewhere and get his confidence back. And I don't know how he does that.
Mac, if you're the Jets, for example, or you're the Falcons, you got Desmond Ridder. Trade him even up for Zach Wilson. Trade Mac Jones even up for Mac Wilson.
I don't think the Jets would want
Ridder.
I don't think the Jets would want Ridder or Mac Jones.
Well, they don't want what, but I'm just saying as far as value, what you can get, what you can't get.
Jack, I'm not disagreeing with that. Zach Wilson may have a backup job somewhere. Is that what he wants, though? I mean, if I'm playing quarterback, I want to start. I want to at least have the opportunity to start.
He doesn't have a choice, Mac. He can't hold out for somewhere where he wants to go. He has to go where they send him. If I'm the Houston Texans.
Well, you can say no. I mean, you can say no. And Zach Wilson can say no.
He can't say he'll retire. Fine, he'll say no, let him retire.
He could say no, retire until the contract's up. Come back.
Retiring, he won't get.
He should go play. Let me tell you where I think he should go play. If I'll be honest with you, Jack, I think he should go play in that UFL, the new league. Go down there. He probably would get a starting job or at least compete for one. Maybe he can work his way back into the NFL. And that
Mac, he would start in those other leagues. Mac, he's already in the NFL. He could be a backup somewhere. You want him to work his way back into something
because
he can already have now?
He has a lot to prove, Jack, to me. He has a lot to prove.
No, but Mac, he had a couple of good games. Andy Reid might think, wow, he can make my rosters a backup to Mahomes, a third string. He played well against us.
With all the quality second stringers, Jack, why would the Chiefs take on Zach Wilson?
D'Amico Ryan, okay? He has C.J. Stroud. They need – who knows? Maybe he likes the way Zach Wilson played against his team when Zach Wilson played well, and he'll figure, wow, Zach can be a backup behind CJ
Maybe,
Stroud.
and maybe this is the last thing I'll say on it because we're spending way too much time on Zach Wilson. Maybe he
Agreed.
starts. Maybe he starts for the flag football. The Olympic Games.
Come on.
That's possible. Anyway, Jack.
Against the Giants.
Yeah, no, we don't want him. Trust me. Speaking of flag football is better than what we had, but it's still a cheapened version of the sport. They're going to have it in the Olympics. We saw the flag football game. The NFC won. I don't know if you know. NFC beat the AFC in flag football 64 to 57 or something ridiculous. It was entertaining with Lewis there. With Lewis from the Ravens running out on the field and arguing with the refs. That was kind of interesting. And, I love Eli beating Peyton any chance he gets. So.
I thought you weren't going to watch, Mac. You always say you're not watching that nonsense. The whole game.
I saw it on ESPN this morning, Jack. I just didn't turn it off.
You were watching the game, Mac. You just covering up. Yeah. It was entertainment. If you take it as entertainment, who cares? I don't want to see a regular all-star game. I mean, the season's over. They're not playing together. I don't want to see guys hitting one another hard in the all-star game.
I do. That's football.
All-star games are lousy games to watch.
Football, Jack. That's football. It's called hitting each other. That's what football is. And I don't know how else you describe football. I like the old-time all-star games in every sport where they went at it. And whatever.
The NBA years ago, maybe it was a few years ago only, it was a thing of beauty. At the end of the game, both teams badly wanted to win. Right. All of a sudden it clicked. It was no longer an exhibition game. They were going at it like it was the seventh game of a championship, and it was great to see. But for the most part, the NBA games, the defense is soft. It's playground ball. Yeah, that's all the NBA All-Star game is. Major League Baseball is not a bad game. One thing about baseball, no matter what, hitters are always trying to succeed and get a hit. Pitchers are always trying to get someone out. Maybe they won't dive head first, try to take someone out of a double play, run into someone, crash into a wall. Okay, they'll let up a little that way, but for the most part, a baseball exhibition game can resemble a regular game. Joey Corpus makes a good point. Flag football, well, it's like shadow boxing or sparring. It's not the real, like shadow boxing. Shadow boxing isn't entertaining at all. I mean, come on.
Joey, don't listen to Jack. I think you got a right comment there. And good morning to you, because we didn't say good morning.
Again, let me tell you a thing with boxing. Okay, to get to Joey's point. I met Hannah Stone on Hall of Fame weekend once. Floyd Patterson's adoptive son, Tracy Harris Patterson, was getting his hands wrapped. That's all that was happening. They were wrapping his hands, and all these people are standing around them, and it looks like their mouths are open, and they're fascinated over him getting his hand wrapped. And I'm looking at the people, and I shake my head and go, this is, I can't take this, and walk away.
So some Giants news real quick. New York Giants blocked Mike Kafka for interviewing with Seattle. Jack, do you think if somebody blocked you from interviewing, you would have hard feelings about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anyone who's holding me back from getting another job and they don't have good reason. I mean, if I have a contract with them and they want me to stay with them on the job because they value me, and they say, look, you have a contract, you have an obligation, we value you here, we want you here, you knew what you were getting into when you signed the contract, and just because you get a better offer now, we can't afford to lose you. You got to fulfill your contract.
I agree.
I'm not going to be happy, but I'm going to be respectful of it, and I'm going to have to fulfill my contract.
I agree.
But if I know they're going to move on for me as soon as my contract is done, and I have no future with that organization, but I could have a future with another one, and they're not letting me go to the other organization, I'll have hard feelings. Let me tell you a story, Mac. This is kind of a little away from sports, but it's going to be a quick one. A friend of mine was telling me about someone who worked in his company. He had a couple of weeks vacation. He took a week off during Christmas week.
Right.
And he thought Christmas Day wouldn't count on that. He assumed on that when he took the week off. And later, when he wants to put in for his other days, he's told, no, you don't have that extra day. You took the week off. But he said, but it was Christmas Day in that week. That shouldn't count. He didn't know at the time. He assumed, and they held firm the company. He was never the same worker after that, I was told. He never put in the same effort after that.
I can imagine.
And if you force the guy to stay on the contract and he's unhappy and you're going to retain him, do you think he's going to put in that extra hour per day, extra half hour?
Well, the only way that's different, like in the NFL, is they're going to evaluate what you do at each team, right? So if for some reason the Giants' offense goes downhill a little bit, he's going to bear part of that responsibility. So maybe it'd be a good idea just to do his job and best he can and continue on and not ruin his reputation, whatever that reputation is, Jack.
Yes and no, Mac, but you said it best over and over. It's about relationships.
Sure.
And we saw it this year. We were told Dan Quinn, oh, no, he can't get a head coaching job now because the Cowboy defense is off in the playoffs. He gets a head job. The Chicago Bears offensive coordinator gets let go because the Bears offense was a bit disappointing. He gets picked up by the Raiders to be the offensive coordinator.
Sure.
It's relationships. Who's worked together with who?
Shohen hopes the injured Daniel Jones returning training camp will be starting. He'll miss some games. He's got the neck. He's got the knee. He's all banged up. I don't expect him to be playing that much next year. If he comes in late, maybe.
Who's this?
Daniel Jones. But
Dan,
they have to find a quarterback to start with, Jack. And they already ticked off the black quarterback they had there at the end.
Not the quarterback, the quarterback.
Yes, but I mean, just so we know who I'm talking about.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Tyrod Taylor came in. They ticked him off because of playing
Tommy Cutlets, but a couple of
Jack, Tommy Cutlets, it looks like, may end up starting the year when Daniel Jones is hurt. So, and of course, they're going to be drafting a quarterback. Whether
Tommy Cutlets is not starting the season. He is lucky to have a roster spot.
Who else do they have? Who else do they have, Jack?
They'll go out. Anyone they get is going to be better than Tommy Cutlets, just about anyone.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying, who would they get to fill in that spot? They're not going to get anybody that can threaten Daniel Jones.
Mac, you know the way I feel about Derek Carr, the way we've argued. Derek Carr is closer to being on a level of Patrick Mahomes than Tommy Cutlets is to being a starting NFL quarterback.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I would say they're stuck with Daniel Jones whether they like it or not for this.
But Daniel Jones should be able to start the season.
He's injured.
He should be able to start the season. It's not September.
He's injured. They're saying he's probably not going to be able to start the season. That's what
and
they're
the
saying.
Giants can draft. There are going to be a number of guys that they can draft that are going to be available in certainly the second round, the third round, maybe even the fourth round, where they could take a fly on certain quarterbacks. I mean, they might have a guy like Bo Nix or Penix available in the second round who they might draft. The Giants aren't going to use their sixth overall pick on a quarterback, but they might, unless Jaden Daniels somehow falls to number 6. You never know the way certain quarterbacks could certainly fall in the draft. And you don't know the potential of some of them. I remember the year Josh Allen was drafted, he went 9th. There was talk, well, he has potential to be a really good quarterback, but he didn't go in the first few picks.
Excuse me. Yes, I did. I know you were going to stop right there. I didn't think I had enough information for the show today, but I forgot you're my co-host. So anyway, plenty of news. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Knicks clutch and their and their president of player operations, I think that's his title, Leon Rose is his name, and he's doing a bang up job right now. I know Keith mentioned it before that he thought he would do a good job with the Knicks, getting the Villanova connection there and everything. So Clutch Sports agent Rich Paul met with the New York Knicks president Leon Rose to sort out issues, and they've been sorted out. Jack, there's a couple of players the Knicks are interested in: Dejounte Murray and Malcolm Brogdon. These are the two players Knicks are interested in to bring over to the Knicks. What do you think? Do you think that the Knicks get one of these two players?
Rich Paul, a GM? Since when are the GMs making deals? The agents.
No. He's the agent. He's Clutch Sports agent.
I know, but the agents shouldn't be reaching out to GM and saying, "You want my guy to play for your team." Remember what happened?
That's not what I'm saying, Jack. I'm saying he represents these two players that the Knicks are interested in. Now, I'm not saying that they reached out.
But they said Rich Paul reached out to the Knicks.
Right.
But he's an agent. Why is he reaching out to the Knicks about his clients who play for other teams?
They had a meeting. I don't know if Leon Rose reached out to him or if he reached out to Leon Rose. I'm saying that's
tampering if Leon Rose reached out to an agent of a player.
Possibly they had a meeting.
Tampering.
They had a meeting. Who's to say what the meeting is? There's speculation because he represents these two players that that have expressed interest in it. So anyway, there you go.
The agents could help sometimes. Sometimes they could mess a deal up. Remember Damian Lillard's agent wanted him to go to Miami. Damian Lillard wanted to go to the Miami Heat when he was with Portland. Absolutely wanted to go to the Heat. The agent, Damian Lillard's agent, let the other teams know, don't try to trade for Damian Lillard. He's not going to your team. It's Miami or nothing.
Yeah.
And that hurt the Portland Trail Blazers' bargaining ability to make the best possible deal with the Miami Heat. So the Heat didn't offer them the best possible package that they could have. In all probability, they didn't offer that. And as a result, Portland didn't make the deal. They said, screw you to Damian Lillard's agent. We're going to trade him to another team. And they traded him to the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, right. And they got a nice haul in return. And it worked out. They traded Damian Lillard to a contender. Right. So they were looking out for Damian Lillard at the same time, but not giving in to the wish of the agent because of the way the agent acted.
I agree. I remember Damian Lillard coming out later and said, "I'll go anywhere." And I even think the commissioner got involved in that, saying you can't do that.
Damian Lillard said something interesting the other day. He really loved his time at Portland. He just got tired of not being able to win, having no hope of winning an NBA championship. He said, when the Milwaukee Bucks went back to Portland to play the other night, he wants to finish his career as a Portland Trailblazer.
Yeah.
That was wild. He's with the Bucks now. But I think Damian Lillard is thinking, when I'm on my last season, maybe on my last legs, I wouldn't mind. Trade me back to Portland. That's where I want to end up. I still live there. I'm a member of the community. I love the fans. It's just a question of wanting to win. Max, sometimes when a player stays put, it could be the worst thing for his career. Even in the case of the great LeBron James, let's make believe LeBron James never went to the Miami Heat, decided, I'm going to ride it out with the Cavaliers my whole career. He probably wouldn't have an NBA championship. I'm virtually sure. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Did he win a championship? Didn't he win a championship?
Let me tell you why.
Right.
He has 4 of them, but he wouldn't have had one with Cleveland because Cleveland would not have been able to draft high the way they did after he left. After he left, they were able to draft Kyrie Irving.
Check.
Because they had the high pick, they wouldn't have been able to draft Irving.
First of all, that's all speculation. Second of all, you don't think players would want to come play with LeBron James at Cleveland? You don't think they would have got free?
It's possible. Right. But chances are no. I'm going to tell you why. Listen to this.
Go ahead.
Right before LeBron James went to Miami,
Yeah.
he was thinking of staying with Cleveland. He tried to convince his buddy Chris Bosh to come to Cleveland.
Right.
And Chris Bosh said, I'm not going to Cleveland. If you go to Miami, I'll go to Miami. I don't want to play in Cleveland. I want to go to Miami. And that's what happened. So LeBron went to Miami. Chris Bosh joined him in Miami.
So
Chris Bosh made it clear, I'm not going to Cleveland.
We got 10 minutes. You're killing me. So, speaking of people that don't like to go to Philadelphia, of course, Ben Simmons goes to Philadelphia. They're booing him every time he touches the ball. He doesn't take a shot. He just passes the ball off. He thinks it's crazy how grown men sit there and they boo him and are all upset about him. Philadelphia is a tough place to play and a tough place to return to if they don't like it, Jack.
Well, you get fans like Pax who could be completely unreasonable. I mean, the city boots Santa Claus.
Yes, they do.
Came out and listen. The Eagles go to the Super Bowl, and then halftime of their first game, they get booed as they're going to the locker room. I mean, wait a couple of games to boo.
they don't play around. And speaking of the 76ers, bad news for them. Joel Embiid is going to have an operation, his meniscus injury. They don't know how long he's going to be out. They're hoping that he returns by the playoffs. How they're going to replace 35 points per game and 13 rebounds is going to be very tough, Jack.
You don't replace him. Yep. You can't replace him.
Good luck. Good luck with Philadelphia there. Let's go to NHL real quick. They did have their all-star game there. I guess they get $1 million to the players. They divvy up. An all-star got booed. Speaking of during the skills competition, Nikita Kochevo, near the bottom of a couple of events. He's a Tampa Bay forward. He didn't seem to put in effort. Messier even said there's no intensity there at all. So they booed this guy during the skills competition, Jack. Toronto's a tough place to play for NHL.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I never heard of a player getting booed during a skills competition. You hear it during a game for lack of effort. During a skills competition. Maybe he just didn't want to be there, but he was like obligated and just was going through the motions. I don't know.
I guess not, but that was pretty interesting to me. That's like booing somebody at the volleyball competition for the NFL, right? I don't know, but anyway, it's kind of funny. Boxing, Better Beef and Bivol set for June 1st in Saudi Arabia, Jack. I know you guys talked about this fight before. I imagine you'll be talking about it again. I like Better Beef. Bivol, the better boxer. Better Beef, a good counterpuncher, a lot of power. I mean, if you're leaning,
Better Beef is going to carry the fight to Bivol. He's not counterpunching. If Better Beef lays back and tries to counterpunch, he's probably going to lose the fight. I mean, his key to winning the fight is to put pressure on Bivol and break him down, and he has a very good chance of doing that. But it's a great fight to be made. It's the type of fight for the hardcore boxing fans. And it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis have the big money, and if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't take place. The only two places, where that fight could sell would be in Canada, where Better Beef is, located, or in Russia, because they're both Russians. In the United States, it wouldn't have done big business like in Las Vegas. It's a great fight. If you're a hardcore fight fan, it is a great fight. Let's be honest, Mac, the majority of boxing fans are not hardcore boxing fans. They like boxing. They enjoy it. They like a good fight. But they're more into like personalities. And Better Beef and Bivol don't have charismatic boxing personalities.
Gotcha. Conor Ben remains unbeaten. Unanimous win over Peter Dobbs.
I saw that fight. And Conor Ben is an unbeaten British fighter, the son of Nigel Benn, who was a big-time, middleweight from England, belt holder back in the past. Conor Ben has failed the drug test. Let's tell it as it is. He claims the results are wrong. He was on nothing. He's talking about clearing his name. And there's controversy to how far he's really gone to clear his name.
Yeah.
You know, the British Boxing Board isn't quite letting him back in yet, but a couple of other agencies supposedly say it's okay. He fights, and it's a mess. But Conor Ben, you know, he sounded like a delusional fool in the post-fight interview. He wins a decision. And he says his opponent, Peter Dobson, only tried to survive. Well, yeah, for a good part of the fight, Peter Dobson was trying to survive because Conor Ben, who's a hard puncher, was trying to take his head off. But for a lot of the time, Peter Dobson would come forward, try to attack Conor Ben, and Conor Ben couldn't knock him out. So
Yeah.
Conor Ben says, oh, he only tried to survive. That's the only reason he went the distance. A word to Conor Ben, you sound like a delusional fool when you talk like the way you did after the fight. A delusional fool. Okay? So don't talk like that. Give your opponent credit for going the distance. It was a decent performance that you put on. You won clearly. You did some good things. Don't degrade your opponent after the fight because you couldn't knock him out.
All right. That's telling it like it is, Jack, as Howard Cosell would say. Listen,
Jack Hurst reporting.
So we're coming near the top of the hour real quick. Bill Belichick takes out an ad, full-page ad, to thank the Foxborough faithful. You know, I mean, there's got to be a lot of emotions going through his head, thinking back 20 years of his life that he put into one place. And, you know, I mean, it's got to be kind of sad. It's sad to me. For me, it's sad. Everything that's happened to Belichick in the last year is sad to me. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, Belichick's legacy, you wonder what it's ultimately going to be. I think it's going to be good, but the stigma's going to hang over him. Well, he never won with Tom Brady. But if you look carefully at all these coaches, you need good players to win. Let's say the Chiefs win a couple more Super Bowls. Let's say they win 3 more Super Bowls with Andy Reid as the coach. I can argue, well, Andy Reid can only win with Patrick Mahomes. He didn't win a Super Bowl with the Eagles, even though he went to one without him. You need good players to win no matter who you are.
Listen, Jack, no argument on that one from me. So, folks, have a great day on after us is Coffee and Sports next up on the Roku channel. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Thanks for the likes, and thanks to Joey for joining us, one of Jack's friends, I imagine. So have a great day, folks. Enjoy your Monday. Start off your week right by listening to Roku all day. Have a great day, folks.